allows special districts. They add layers of taxes, and they're supposed to provide layers of services that aren't covered elsewhere. But what's really special is when your taxes spike because of a district you didn't know you were in. For hundreds of families, even their county didn't know. Our Anusha Roy looks at what is going to be a long fight.
Tucked away in rural Loveland is a peaceful retreat for an artist and his wife.
So the view right through those mountains is Loveland, and then to the right of that mountain over there is Berthoud.
What Jojo Toby did not mention was Estes Park.
So unfair. I started reading and I started getting like...
She's fighting a tax surprise after she was told that she's a part of the Estes Valley Recreation and Park Special District 4 years after moving in.
It was probably about $290, $300 based on our assessed value on our property. And it's gone up about $50 every year.
Their argument is, well, we didn't know we were in a district. Well, neither did we.
Special districts are meant to fill gaps in services, anything from sanitation to parks and recreation. The Estes Valley District was created in 1955. 6 decades later, the county realized 78 properties around where Toby lives weren't properly taxed.
And when we called the county, back in the fall of 2015 to say, hey, we're going to get calls on this. Obviously, what happened? Oh, we upgraded our GIS system and we found these folks on the eastern fringe of your boundary and went, okay, well, they're not going to be happy, obviously.
And they weren't, because some of Toby's tax dollars started going to things like a new community center, more than an hour away, that she wasn't going to use.
We don't even have a fire district for our community here. And so here we are giving hundreds of dollars to a recreation district in Estes.
Our stance is, in fairness to the other 11,000 people in the district who do pay taxes.
In total, these homes bring in around $8,000 in taxes, enough to cover the community center's utility bill for a month.
In case you didn't catch on, this is a really big district, 326 square miles. A total of 30 property owners, including Toby, have now signed a petition. A lot of these guys are on fixed incomes. The issue is going to go to the Larimer County Commissioners. And Kyle, if it doesn't get settled there, then it can actually end up in district court as well.
As those people work that out, for anybody else who's looking at buying a place, how do you find out how special it is?
Yeah, it's not really that unique because there's more than 2,000 special districts in Colorado. Ultimately, your tax certificates when you're buying a house should be breaking down where your money is going, unless you're in a situation like the one we just talked about, and then it wouldn't show up until the district boundaries are all sorted out.
What an absolute mess.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Thank you, Anusha. Speaking of, the city of Brighton has a mess of their own, the water fight we've been telling you about. The city manager, Philip Rodriguez, the guy you see there, city council moved last night to start the process to fire him. They say this is a confidential personnel issue, but just try telling that to all the people who packed into the council meeting last night, because they are convinced, just like City Councilman Matt Johnson is convinced, that the city manager is really being fired as part of a cover-up. They think the city manager uncovered $70 million in overcharges for water bills, and that he's being forced out to keep it all quiet. Well, it's not quiet now. Everybody is watching whether he is formally fired next week and whether an audit of Brighton's water department is allowed to continue. What is the difference between a building demolition and a building collapse? That is the question facing a contractor that the city of Denver wants to block from demolishing or collapsing any more buildings around the city. He swears he did nothing wrong, so he told our Marshall Zellinger.
When this Denver building under deconstruction came down in April, it wasn't supposed to happen like this.
Did you go to work that day saying, we're toppling this building and letting it collapse multiple stories at a time?
Nope. No.
Jim Gochis owns Alpine Demolition.
I saw the wind start to gust it and take it, and that's when we threw up and we told everybody to shut the traffic down, and I backed out of the way.
As we told you on Friday, because of the collapse, the city of Denver wants to suspend his company's license for 6 months and his involvement for 1 year.
It did not occur the way that it was supposed to, the way the engineer had laid out. And the contractor showed an alarming disregard for the safety of everyone else who was in the area.
Was any worker in danger?
No. I would have been the closest one. I'm in that red machine right there. I could see it coming. I grabbed a beam, I backed up. I was literally completely out of the way, and I could see it come down.
Through his photos, Gochis explains that he was doing the tiered wedding cake style demolition required by the engineering plan.
Right here you can see that I've cut the first tier out.
Then he says a wind gust created a problem he was prepared for with a backup plan.
We realized that this could happen. That's why we put additional spotters and flaggers out. If I had to do it again that morning, if I knew the wind was going to be there, I wouldn't have started it. We had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think 8 people that were going to watch out for the public and stop traffic if need be, and we did.
The city tells us a building coming down like this would have required permits for road closures and environmental issues like dust.
It's not like this was a dynamite, an implosion or anything. It still came down basically, not necessarily exactly the way we wanted it, but it came down pretty close.
Lawyers are now involved in this situation to determine if Alpine and Gochis can continue to get permits from the city or not. 2 questions, Kyle, that I'm still waiting for answers. If wind is going to cause a building to collapse, does that mean the building was deconstructed incorrectly to begin with? And the second question is, what did the city need to know if Gochis thought this was a possibility? What kind of notification did the city need, and the permits, what needed to be issued ahead of time? I'm still waiting for the city's answers on those.
And as we've discussed, not likely to get a slap on the wrist. He's either going to be put out of this line of business in the city or allowed to continue.
Right, and there's no fine one way or the other. It's either you get the business or you don't get the business. Get the permits or don't get the permits.
Yeah, we don't want the buildings blowing down. That's bad. All right, thank you, Marshall. Pueblo's newspaper is apologizing for a letter that it published from a state legislator, because the letter was not actually from a state legislator. Someone was impersonating Democratic State Representative Bree Buntello. Kind of surprised that somebody would go through the trouble of faking a letter from an elected leader, picked a topic as bland as the Ark Valley Conduit Pipeline project. But I suppose that's also the kind of letter to the editor that, frankly, they probably would not have reason to question. The Pueblo Chieftain says it called to verify the letter, but whoever was on the phone fooled them. They're promising better verification in the future, and it's why I am now answering my desk phone with, "Who's this? Can you prove it?" So this is strange, but also kind of important. If you were at the Greeley Stampede on the 4th of July and you came in contact with a bat, you would remember that. It had rabies. The bat was found along the parade route at 13th Street and 10th Avenue. You need to call the health department if you think that you or your pets came into contact with that bat. RTD says all it's going to need to get its train to Longmont running before 2050 is more of your money. Now, this is not really a surprise. RTD has said in order to deliver on its promise of train service to Longmont, it's going to need to raise taxes or get more toll road revenue. The mayor of Longmont says his city has paid more than $4 million a year since 2004 for a train service they might not get for decades. So good luck reaching into their wallets again. The mayor puts it even more bluntly.
What I would tell the RTD board if they proposed a new sales tax is I would say you're smoking crack. There is no way that the people of Longmont or this county are going to be suckered again.
We totally understand the frustration. Again, no one wants to complete fast tracks more than RTD. If we were to find other revenues, for instance, in the form of a sales tax increase, we would be able to get the fast tracks projects done much sooner.
RTD is considering scaling back the proposed train service to peak times only, but before you figure out how that's going to work with your schedule, RTD's long-promised train could still be decades away even under that plan. RTD told 9 News today that the potential of moving up their timeline means that I can't use my countdown anymore. Well, au contraire, folks, because the beauty of the countdown is really in its flexibility. So if we're not talking about a 2050 timeline, say if you're able to deliver the train, I don't know, by the time I retire, then we can just put in new Post-it notes with a smaller number. But until then, we are going to update. It's been a little while since we updated, but check this out. This is really easy. We're just going to flip these 2 numbers. As of now, if nothing changes, Longmont, you get your train in 11,134 days. We are the champions. And by we, I mean the 2 of them. They're Coloradans, so they're part of us. Now permanently.
I'm representing not just the ladies, but Denver in general, and that's an honor, and it's a lot of pressure.
This mural is about more than just their World Cup win. And you wouldn't know it from seeing him smiling at the lemonade stand. But this is one of the most difficult days in this young man's life. That's next. John G. writes in to say, how about required How to Colorado classes for all new residents? Ooh, could you imagine that? What would you put in a How to Colorado class for new residents? Solid suggestions. While President Trump feuds with Mexico, Governor Jared Polis is doing his best to mix it up with New Mexico. Polis is wading into the old debate about which state has the better green chili. What's better, Pueblo chilies or Hatch chilies? His Facebook post called New Mexico chilies inferior. That's a tough case to make, Governor, and those are clearly fighting words. And New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham is ready to throw hands, or at least peppers. She responded on Twitter saying that if Pueblo chili was any good, then it would be sold nationwide, like Hatch chili. As this chili war heats up, next producer, Erica, a New Mexico native, has a recommendation for you. As a New Mexico native, but a Colorado transplant, she gets both sides of this. And the green chili feud, it's more than just a taste preference for some people. And this is an identity thing for people in southern Colorado, especially people in New Mexico. Jeremy Hohola, you know him from our team. He's from New Mexico originally as well, and he wrote a blog about this long-time chili feud. Erica recommends you give it a read. We have the link posted on our Twitter and Facebook pages.
Those chilies look so good and making me so hungry. And what a great day to barbecue with some of those chilies outdoors today, with temperatures in the low 90s for some of you. Mid 80s along the front range here, with that weak front coming through that brought in just a few little clouds to decorate the sky today. Out of DIA, only 86. That's below average. I'm about to turn up the heat as high pressure begins to come in, push the storm track to the north, and with a little bit of a trough developing off to the west, southwest winds will bring in some of that warm desert air and not much moisture, so very little in the way of cloud cover tonight or tomorrow. And we really will see only isolated thunderstorms across southern Jefferson County and down around Castle Rock and Colorado Springs and Pueblo, but a quiet July pattern for a couple of days. And then as the heat goes up, we'll watch things shift again on Friday into Saturday. So tonight, nice night to be outdoors. Fair skies and 61. Sunshine tomorrow, 93. Temperatures continue in the 90s heading into the weekend. We introduce thunderstorms back in the forecast at the end of the week, but continue with a beautiful weather pattern. And it's time to try the new, improved, it's dramatic, the 9 News app. Will take you right to the weather page, Kyle. I know you like to go there.
It's dramatic. Mm-hmm. All right, very good. I'll check that out. A boy in Stapleton set up a lemonade stand Monday. Looked like any other, you know, the table, the sign, pitcher of lemonade. It wasn't until you stopped to talk that you realized that this was an incredible act of courage, and it brought out the best in his community.
There is no reason 6-year-old Brady Campbell should be smiling. Brady's dad, Brandon, who helped him plan the lemonade stand and make the signs, the man behind so many of Brady's smiles, had lost his battle with cancer just the day before. But Brady told his mom he wanted to use the lemonade stand to raise money to take her on a date. The first Denver police officer to stop learned the story and radioed others. They told the firefighters. Word spread up and down the street, and soon Brady was surrounded by smiles, and he was beaming too. Brady's mom said words cannot describe what this meant to them. Brandon Campbell would have been proud of his boy, and he would have been proud of his neighbors, with a smile as bright as his son's. Celebrating our World Cup win clear across out here in Colorado.
Anytime you're associated with women who are doing amazing things, it makes me feel like I'm a little bit closer to doing something amazing as well.
A lasting tribute to Colorado's own champs. And it's a sign that we hope drivers can figure out before they end up in somebody's yard. Next.
As the women of the U.S. national team were painting a masterpiece in France, artists across America were working on some of their own in tribute to the women who were dominating the World Cup. Today, we headed to Denver's Rhino neighborhood to take a look.
Art is one of those things that people tend to put on the wayside, but they really don't understand the value that it can have in a community and in people's lives. So this is a piece for the women's national soccer team. Two of these ladies are actually from Colorado, Mallory Pugh and Lindsay Horan, and it's really kind of a tribute to their successes and going after what they want. I'm Marissa Napolitano. I'm a muralist and illustrator. It's based out of Denver right now. There's a few female artists in Denver, and actually Denver's really great about supporting art in general, but of course, like most fields, it's kind of a man's game, so it's always hard to break into no matter what you're doing. So I really just wanted to represent these ladies. I mean, they're incredible, and it's about women inspiring women. So I really just tried to capture their strength, along with referencing Colorado, since they're both natives, which is really cool, and I think the state has really embraced them. Lindsay reached out to me and showed her support for the mural, and that was the biggest honor, really, is getting her approval. I would say their message is one of, equality, empowerment, and, inspiration, going after what you want. I mean, I deal with a lot of different issues. Obviously, social issues are a huge thing for me, but I think as long as it can inspire people to achieve what they want and make the world a better place with whatever they're doing, that's the ultimate goal. Anytime women can get together and support each other, especially these two who are just going after what they want and doing something that's seemingly impossible, it's a recipe for success.
You can spot a few of Marissa's other pieces around town, and they'll be featured in Rhino's Crush Walls art event later this year. Colorado's own Mal Pugh and Lindsay Horan were in New York City this morning for the big championship parade, where the team's co-captain, Megan Rapinoe, came to the microphone with a request.
This is my charge to everyone. We have to be better. We have to love more, hate less.
Rapinoe and co-captain Carly Lloyd, they might not be on the team for the next World Cup. Co-captain Alex Morgan, more likely to still be in the mix. But the Coloradans, I'm telling you, the whole world should know their names come the next World Cup. Mal Pugh will be a key contributor on that team, and Lindsay Horan, she could be the big name for the Americans. It is a sign, a few of them, that make it seem like someone is messing with us. And I apologize, it appears that I have made some of you cry again. Your feedback's next. Some driving tips there. We'll add to that a sign that has some drivers wondering how they are supposed to get around. Michelle Simonis sent us this photo at the intersection of 67th and Pecos in Adams County. One detour sign tells people to go left. The one right behind it tells people to go right. I don't know, maybe it's like one of those IndyCar circuits. I'm not sure. They think the construction guys are messing with them. Appears that a number of you were as moved by the story of Brady Campbell and his lemonade stand as I was when I first heard about it. Asked to do it the day after his dad passed away so that he might raise money to take his mother out on a date. Edie writes, "Thank you for that bit of humanity." Nick says, "Did the pollen go up? Little dusty. Lemonade stand story got me." And Jerry writes of Brady and his lemonade stand, "We could all take a lesson from him. Now that is how you human." See you next time.